She said, let us start right now. Let's forget the past. Notice this. I, as a black person, want my people to remember what we have suffered and what we continue to suffer, so that we will say like the Jews, never again. Never again. You know, when you tell us go back, please remember where you came from. And when you want to relegate somebody to a specific place, just remember what your origin is in this world. Please, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I want you to understand that you, wherever you are on the earth, you're not a native anywhere. You came there and took it from the native people who are there. So please don't talk about going back, because if others talk to you about that, where would you go?
I agree with you. I agree with you. Someone said we don't agree with you. I agree with you that we live in a racist society. But just as I'm racist, some of you are being racist in the fact that you're calling me a white folk. I realize that things that I have, things that I have, I realize most of them I may have gotten because I'm white, and I am privileged because I'm white. But I do feel guilty. There are feelings of guilt from being white, and I realize that. But you're building walls. We build walls this high. We're separated right now. The white people are on this side, and the black people are on that side.
Sir. Assalamu alaikum. I'd like to say that I've written a book about black soldiers in the Civil War. Many black people have come to me and said constantly that they had no idea that there were black soldiers in the Civil War. Obviously, there are white people who don't know this. Don't we need to begin with education, begin with rewriting the textbooks in America to tell the truth about blacks and whites in America in context?
Yes, yes, please, please, for 1 second, yes.
That's what I wanted to, Minister Farrakhan, the education system. Our children right now are being miseducated. What can we do so that we can inform our children, educate our children? And it's sad because white folks don't know anything about black history. And they have done that purposely. And I am saying that in May, I go down to Beaufort. And when you're in South Carolina, the whole history of black Africans is there. And it's pathetic that white folks have to wait till February to find out that we were slaves. I would like us to speak to what are we going to do to improve the education of this whole society, which have cheated them from our true heritage.
May I respond? I said in the first segment it was a crime of omission as well as a crime of commission. And that crime has affected both white and black. White folk have been made to believe that the history of civilization begins in Egypt and that Egypt was a white civilization. And that many whites have been made to believe that black folk were just in the jungles of Africa running around with no clothes on and never contributed anything to the advancement of civilization, while at the same time there are Masons and Shriners. Some of your parents are Shriners and Masons, and they put on the fez of the Muslim people, and what they're studying is the true history of the black people of this earth. I think if the proper education were given to black and white, we could come away with a healthy respect one for the other. I want to clear this, that I don't think black people disrespect the tremendous accomplishments that white folk have made. But if white folk do not know what black people have contributed to the advancement of civilization, it leads to a disrespect of a whole segment of the population. And this is why today I will say that black children, as much as we need education, we don't want to go to these schools because the food that we are being fed is not proper. But any one of us can go into the schools where there's no discipline, where there's madness in the corridors, and we can speak to our youth and get their attention in a matter of moments, because we are teaching them that which their souls yearn for, that is a proper knowledge of self. And if they won't give it to us, we have the responsibility to give it to ourselves.
Mr. Farrakhan, I have actually two questions. One, the direction that you're pursuing seems to be a complete reversal from the direction that Martin Luther King was going into, which is total integration. You seem to be wanting to pull your people apart into a more segregated but equal situation. Can you draw any parallels between yourself and he and the end result that you're looking for? Yes. And how would you address some of the educated, upper-class blacks who are sending their children off to college now and are distressed that they're coming back too black?
Yes.
And I had said, what do you mean? My question to them was, what do you mean by too black? How can your children be too black? And they say there's a militant air that's coming home, and an angriness and an aggressiveness that they've spent years trying to quell. These children are wealthy children going to excellent colleges. Their parents are upper class, and they're concerned and distressed.
Thank you. First, I appreciate the manner and the spirit of your question. Dr. Martin Luther King, of course, was a giant among us. Dr. Martin Luther King was a humanist as well as a deep religious thinker who hoped and believed and worked for the coming together of people. I don't think that Dr. King was in error to work what his heart commanded him to do. But while Dr. King was doing that, would you believe that the United States government, under the counterintelligence program of J. Edgar Hoover, was plotting all the while against Dr. King to discredit him, to keep him from getting the Nobel Peace Prize? When he went to meet with the Pope, the FBI tried to interfere with Dr. King's meeting with the Pope, thinking that if the Pope met with Dr. King, it would give him too much credibility. Dr. King, in 1968, lost his life because he felt that poverty in America was so pervasive, not only among blacks, but whites. And even though Lyndon Baines Johnson was the one that was the architect of the war on poverty and commissioned the Kerner Commission, Mr. Johnson became so obsessed with winning the war in Vietnam, he took money away from dealing with the problems of America, sending that money into Vietnam in a cause that America lost. And when Dr. Martin Luther King spoke openly, honestly, against the war in Vietnam, you know the rest. The man was assassinated. And now America, 20 years after Dr. King, is further apart. Even though there's a bigger middle class, the poor are getting poorer, and the system that you call economic, political, and religious system keeps pressing the poor down to the point where you have millions of black people who are useless to themselves and to this nation.
Are you there, caller?
Yes.
Thank you for waiting. I'm sorry it took us a while to get you, but go ahead. I know you'll be brief.
I'm a white American born into poverty, and I overcame it. You know, the opportunities are here in America, and why can't we just start now? We hear all this violence. Why can't we just talk in a positive way and go forward instead of remembering all these things that are in the past that are negative? They were not good for blacks, not good for white.
According
yes, Minister Farrakhan commenting.
According to the State of Black America by the Urban League. If we started right now, they said, we could never close the gap to black poverty and white poverty. She said, let us start right now. Let's forget the past. Notice this. When Jewish people remember the Holocaust and want the world to remember the Holocaust. Wait. Why do you want the world to remember? Because if the world does not remember, it is likely to repeat itself. And Jewish persons who suffered from the Holocaust want the world to remember this because the world turned its back while Jews were put in ovens. I, as a black person, want my people to remember what we have suffered and what we continue to suffer so that we will say like the Jews, never again. Never again. Dr. Leakey was looking for the origin of human beings. He went to Europe, but he didn't stay there long. He kept right on moving, and he found the origin of man in Africa. Now some of your scholars of genetics have taken the DNA and have traced the origin of human beings back to the black woman. Look, we are the father of all human beings. Tell it from the mountain, the black people are the original people of the earth. That doesn't make us better, but it says we are your father. We are your mother, and you should honor your father and mother that your days may be long.
Is it your feeling that AIDS is a manufactured disease which has hit especially in an especially horrendous way among people of color, among African Americans, engineered by a white person?
It is becoming increasingly clear in medical circles that the configuration of that virus is not a natural configuration, but that it is a made virus. Now, this should not come as a shock to you because viruses have been used for years to get rid of unwanted and useless populations. I think General Amherst sent smallpox up in blankets to the Indians. And I think you will find that 100 black men in a Tuskegee experiment were injected with the most virulent form of syphilis and allowed to cohabit with whomsoever they would and never were to be treated for syphilis. This is reality.